And we are now live streaming.
Okay, good evening and welcome everyone. This meeting has been live streamed on YouTube, so welcome to everyone viewing on YouTube. Elected members of the committee unable to join the meeting in person are able to join remotely. They do not form quorum. They will not be able to vote and their attendance will not be officially recorded, although their virtual attendance will be noted in the minutes. Non-voting independent members ideally attend in person, but if unable to join the meeting in person are also able to join remotely. They retain speaking rights. Anyone attending remotely must turn on the camera when addressing members of the committee. With regards to the meeting etiquette, please may I ask that you indicate you wish to speak by raising your physical hand. People online should raise their virtual hand and we will monitor the screen for virtual hands. Please be aware that I'm watching the room and that I cannot see what is going on behind me on the screen right away. Please note that the chat function on Zoom will not be used in this meeting and questions or comments on the agenda pack should be raised by the chair. Colleagues, special meeting with two agenda items. To accommodate attendance logistics, I have agreed to swap the order on the agenda so we deal with the cyber report as the first substantive item. I would like to conclude the cyber discussions by 8:10 p.m, allowing a further 50 minutes or more for the second substantive items. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence and substitutes. I've received apologies for absence from independent members Culmer Sull. Are there any apologies for absence from members?
Councillor King-Pinton.
Thank you, Councillor Chapman.
And Councillor Ricciardi.
Thank you. Declarations of interest.
It's out of an abundance of caution, but as we're discussing a company with the same name as my last name for a large portion of this meeting, I would just like to declare I have no known knowledge of any relation to that company.
Thank you. Item 3, minutes of the last meeting. Members are requested to consider and agree the accuracy of decision minutes of the last meeting of April 2024. Are there any matters of accuracy? Yes, please, Councillor Higgins.
On page 15, it says that a member suggested that data from the estate ballot in Carpenter's estate be reused to identify occupants. That isn't what was suggested. It was suggested that data from that estate ballot be shared with the committee so that we could understand the likely amount of fraud that might be detected during tenancy audits, because a similar process would have had to take place for that estate ballot. It's not that data be reused to identify occupants, it's that we wanted that data so that we could see what might happen in future tenancy audits.
The data be reused to identify occupants and input be shared with committee to identify fraud.
I just asked if a similar thing as a tenancy audit took place during the Carpenter's estate ballot, and if so, could that be shared? The data from that be shared with the committee?
I think just note that the information used from the ballot, if you could share that with the committee, the outcome. Councillor Booker.
This may be that I misremember it, and if that's the case, I apologise. But it says a member asked that full council be made aware.
Where that page is, please.
So it's under 4 action logs, and it's at the bottom of the page. A member asked that full council be made aware of the cost benefit analysis findings and other technology resolutions. In reply, the chair said it could be accommodated in the committee's year-end report. I actually don't remember that being even a suggestion.
It was.
Oh, it was.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. But it wasn't in.
But it wasn't in the report, so it just didn't happen. Okay, that's fine. But it was, the minutes are correct.
Yes, Councillor Higgins.
Sorry, Chair, I had a second point. Also on page 15, it says a member stated that 48 hours notice of a visit was unreasonably short for working people. I also mentioned the 3, that in the context of 3 repeat visits causing a sanction, and how that those visits had to be at different times to accommodate. If they visit at the same time every week, 3 weeks in a row, that would be unfair for tenants, they're still at work at the time. So it's just not a sufficient coverage of the point that I made.
Could you amend and take note of Councillor Higgins' response?
3 repeat visits at different times of the day.
had one point, Pauline, on the accounting policies, international financial reporting standard. So page 16, number 6,
Yeah,
financial reporting standard.
what's the,
It's not monetary, it's international financial reporting standard. So the third paragraph down.
oh, international
Financial reporting.
financial, oh,
Yeah.
right, oh, mon-
Yes, yes. Any further comments on the minute? Okay. Are the minutes agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Item 4, action log. The committee is asked to note the contents of the action log. Most are due at the next ordinary meeting. Are there any questions on the report? Councillor Higgins?
I think AC 216 can be closed because that has happened and it was an action that I asked for. And it has happened. And then I had a question about AC 200. There's been 2 reminders sent on that and I think we've received that still.
sorry,
I might be wrong about that. Yeah, have we received that?
I don't believe so.
Do we know why it's been open for a while and 2 reminders have been sent?
There's been open from the February meeting. I'll have to follow up with the officer.
Apologies, Chair, I don't know. I'll follow up with the member of staff concerned.
Thank you, Conrad. Any further comments on the action log? Okay, to members present in the room, may I see by show of hands if this is noted? Thank you. Item 5, year ahead forward plan. Are there any questions on or changes to be made to the forward plan, please? Councillor Higgins?
Sorry, there isn't a change. I think it's just reflecting something we've already agreed. The quarterly reports. I think we agreed at the last meeting that we would get quarterly reports on savings, on delivery of the savings programme.
Yeah.
As agreed by cabinet that we could have that and it's not in this list.
An oversight for quarterly reports.
Okay, to members present in the room, I see by show of hands is the report noted. Item 6 and 7 we will now turn to the substantive report. As members, we will recall we are seeking to have uncensored answers on these reports. We've had previous discussions on cyber assurance recently, and I trust members will agree that in the interests of not putting the council at risk of cybercrime, we will discuss the nuances of the report in private. In terms of the affordable housing report, you've been sent exempt reports, including exempt appendices to the cabinet meeting of the 2nd of April 2024 and the subsequent PwC report on governance controls. I anticipate that most of the discussion tonight will focus on the exempt information. Before I propose we move into the exempt session, is there anything the committee wishes to say about either report that can be said in public? Or may I move to item 8, exclusion of the press and public? Councillor Higgins.
Forgive me if I sound a bit like a broken record on this, but what if having had the in private discussion, the committee feels that there are non-exempt matters of concern that need raising, what is the mechanism for us as committee members to do that?
Hold on, Conrad, could you please respond?
So, firstly, just to confirm the sort of implicit position in that, subject, of course, to the making sure any such recommendations or similar thing are appropriately worded as to not compromise any of the issues that need to be discussed in private. There's no problem with the committee, for example, publishing recommendations or similar arising out of the private discussion. So there's no problem doing that. The exact format and forum for that is probably going to follow from the nature of whatever those recommendations or similar might be. So I think we can probably deal with that as we get to the items. But the sort of principle behind what you're saying, Councillor Higgins, yes, it is not probably. It would be appropriate to do.
I ask because we've essentially been delegated by full council to fulfil the council's audit duty. And so we should, if we have concerns, in my view, report those concerns back to full council.
And, taking action in private does not prevent that.
Okay.
Obviously, any such recommendations may need to be appropriately phrased depending on the nature of the discussion.
Thank you, Conrad. Item 8, exclusion of press and public. The committee is asked to resolve that the press and public be excluded from the meeting for the remaining items of business exempt from information as described in part 1 of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972 is to be disclosed. May I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
I'll propose it.
Thank you, councillor Brooker and Chadha. May I see by a show of hands, is this agreed? Thank you. Before we move into the exempt session, I would like to wish good night to everyone watching on YouTube. I now ask the clerk to stop the YouTube broadcast and to confirm to the committee when the live stream has ended, so we may move to part 2 of the meeting. We will clear the public gallery and chamber